Welcome to the Buffalo River. For those who have not been on the trip, I want to just cover some high level items, some resources you might want to consider, items and things to discuss with the group. Again, this is just high level. By all means, you can tailor this how you want, but we'll give you some tips. The river is a national river. It's 138 miles long. It's broken up in three sections. The western portion is called the upper. Then there's the middle and lower sections. The river flows from west to east. We don't float the upper because that generally depends on heavy rains and it's more technical and you have some rapids and things, and we're not interested in that action right now. So depending on river conditions and how fast the river's moving, it can go anywhere from between a mile per hour and 7 miles per hour. So we really have to wait until the day of embarking on the river to nail down the exact place we put in, but we'll plan on the longest trip we can do comfortably during the trip. So it could range from anywhere about mid-river, and if you grab the map, I'll send a link in the chat room. The mid-river is somewhere between, more than likely we will look at something like Woolham. Is a nice area, or Baker Ford, and these are beautiful areas. If the river's low, then we'll scoot over and we'll probably launch right near the outfitter's home base, right at Highway 65. The outfitter's located right here. We'll launch probably at the Gilbert location and then proceed downriver. So the total river miles will range anywhere from probably around 30 miles to as much as 50 miles or so that we'll cover during the week. So again, I'll provide a nice high resolution map with mileage on it so you get familiar with it. So what to expect on the river. So one of the nice things about the river is it's just pristine. It's a very scenic spot. Most people outside of Arkansas really don't know this exists. You'd have to get to Colorado or even Alaska in some cases to see these kind of scenes in the U.S. So the river generally is not very deep. Most of the time, if you fall out, you just stand up. But there are deep pools, and there's also shallow areas that we'll have to drag the canoes across sometimes. There's no heavy rapids. There are a couple technical sections that we'll watch just for boulders and things like that. But generally, the river is easy to navigate. We will be using long canoes, about 16, 17-foot canoes. These are capable of carrying about 1,100 total pounds, so two people plus the gear. And we generally get just under that when we start off. We're generally heavy, and then by the end of the trip, we've eaten all the food and gotten rid of a lot of garbage, and the canoe is much lighter and more maneuverable. But these are very stable if you're not familiar with them. Don't feel intimidated. These are fantastic. The river's just got a lot of character. It will change no matter where we put in the river's going to range in scene, color, depth, shape. It has a different scene around every corner. There's going to be some calm areas, and there's going to be some exciting twists and turns, but always something to look forward to and a lot of wildlife. Okay, now on to the gear. So once we go, our outfitter is going to provide us with the canoes. By the way, the canoes I think are, give or take with taxes, factor in about $50 a canoe a day. Split that between two people is $25 a day, and there'll be a small fee for transporting us from the takeout point back to Silver Hill, which is much farther drive than it is river miles covered. So one of your most important pieces of gear is going to be dry bags. If you don't have high quality roll top dry bags, do some research, grab some. You want a range of sizes. So one of the bags you want to get is about a 10-liter bag. That's going to have some dry gear, your ID, your med kit, and a dry change of clothes. That is the last bag we put in the canoe. That way, if you tip the canoe, that bag is tied on. The first thing anybody can get to is to get that bag, get you out of the water, and instantly get you in some warm clothes, and you're back to laughing about falling out of the canoe or what have you. If you don't have that readily available, you're not going to be very comfortable. The water averages about 50 degrees Fahrenheit this time of year, and it will be, you won't be in the water long. You'll get out. And so you want the smaller bags there. And then 20 to 30 liter is a nice size for the remainder of your gear. You can have as many bags as you want. Generally, most people are going to come in with, 100, 150 pounds of gear total with your shelter and everything and food. And a lot of that goes away by the end of the trip because we eat it. Different styles. You do want at least one bag or a shoulder bag or something. This doesn't necessarily have to be a dry bag, but you want something that's you can throw over your shoulder if you want to go hiking and take a little gear with you. Or if for some reason we have to hike out because of bad weather or something on the river unexpected, then we want to have that ability, at least one of those, have a shoulder bag handy. Most of these come with a strap and are pretty good. Avoid the cloth bags unless you're putting those inside another one. You want heavy duty, thick ones. Look at the reviews and make sure they're the thick style. The cloth ones are nice for putting inside another bag and pulling items out. And things like cell phones, chargers, cameras, anything like that, that ID, keys, you want a double bag. As far as shelter, we've got two shelter options: hammock and tent. This is completely up to you and your preference. If you go with the tent option, don't get cheap. Get a nice backpack weight style tent. Get a 2-person minimum. Single person tents are just too small. That means one person with no room for anything. And we're going to spend time in these camps, and you want to be comfortable. So you want the tent that doesn't get you wet when it rains, and it's probably going to rain at least once on the trip. You want a rain fly and nice lightweight, easy to put up tent, and one that doesn't weigh a ton when you're packed up. Likewise, using a hammock is great. We use the gathered in cloth style hammocks. You'll need some cordage, rigging, rain fly is a must, and some items to hang the hammock with. This is a great way to get off the ground, sleep comfortable. It's a very lightweight package and doesn't have to cost a lot. The big money here is on the rain fly. You want to put your effort into getting a good quality fly. The hammock is secondary, and then there's some other gear we discuss. As far as sleeping bags, get what you're comfortable with. Get the best bag you can buy with the lightest weight and temperature rating that you're comfortable with. We can get into the 20s for a few hours at night, and it's something you can't get away from. So if it's 20 degrees outside and you bought a 50-degree sleeping bag, you will not be comfortable. So make sure that the bag is rated for that temperature, and that it's made of synthetic material or a treated down so that it compresses and is lightweight. Do not get the Coleman Walmart, I call them Walmart style hammocks, because they will be enormous, heavy, and if they get any moisture in them, they stay that way for the trip. As far as clothing, number one rule: no cotton. You don't want cotton fabrics anywhere near water, because if you get this stuff wet or it rains, or it's just humid. Sometimes we get a lot of fog and stuff on the river. It will wick in the moisture and it doesn't want to let go of it. It'll stay wet forever. So you want to get synthetics. The merino wools are great, or some of the other like Under Armour, things like that. You want that a base layer, long sleeve base layer, the leggings, something that fits fairly snug and stretchy underneath your top layer, and then you can change layers as your comfort level needs. Your top layer can be heavier shirts or a jacket, or what works really well is fleece. Fleece jackets or fleece hoodies work fantastic. And fleece is another fabric that will shed water and dry out quickly. Same with socks. You want to make sure they're synthetic, not cotton. Merino wool or pure wool hiking socks are great. Don't pay attention to brand name, just buy what you can afford. And I found these at Sam's Club even. Get the thickest ones you can find. Shoes. Can't beat the Crocs. Crocs work fantastic for the river because they don't soak up water. Although this one shows some fur on it, but I don't get the fur. Get the thick soled type because the banks of the river are generally smooth stones, gravel bars, not comfortable on bare feet. You can also get water shoes, sandals, flip-flops. Just make sure you have more than one pair, just in case you tip over and you're wearing them and they flop off and we can't find it. Ideally, you want it to float. Again, Crocs are just hard to beat because they dry out instantly. They don't soak up water. They're pretty comfortable, even though they're hideous to look at. A piece of gear you don't want to show up without is a lightweight jacket for warmth and to shed water. Make sure you get a waterproof, not water resistant. It should say water, pretty much waterproof, breathable rain shell. This is something you don't have to spend a lot of money on, but you want good quality. You want the hood. You want to be able to cinch it up. If you can afford it, spend the money for a good name brand on this. This is where it counts because this is what's going to keep you dry in rain. If we don't have rain, that's wonderful. But even in fog, these things will work great. And usually there's a little nip in the air at night, and this jacket just helps take that out. Your cook gear, a nesting anodized aluminum or titanium or stainless works great. You want at least 3 or 4 pieces, and nesting means that they'll all stack together, and they usually have a bag or something that will put them all together and let them dry out after we've washed them. You want at least the biggest pot. You want at least 2 quarts or maybe 3 or 4. And then graduate down from there, and then something to act as a serving dish or small frying pan. We do boil a lot of water in camp. We have to boil our water to drink it or to eat with it. So you bring it up to boil, it makes it safe. And so you want to consider that and have that boiled water in your pot. First aid kit, it's pretty basic, but bandages, alcohol swabs. Make sure you get some triple antibiotic cream. The little piece of that will work, and make sure it's all up to date. And of course, any medicines that you need to have or pain relievers that you want to bring along just in case you get a headache or something. And then make sure this is nice and clearly labeled. Don't spend a lot of money on this. Make your own or get a standard little kit and you'll be good to go. Your EDC or everyday carry gear, a lot of you guys probably have this, but critical is you need 2 sources of light, something you can hold in your hand and one on your head. So we have at least a headset and a flashlight. I usually bring more than one headset in case that one goes out. Try to have a headset that has a red LED option so that at night you don't ruin your night vision or wake up the whole camp when you go to the bathroom or something. So the handheld doesn't necessarily have to have that. You need cooking utensils. I like to go to the dollar store. You can grab some of those. Remember, you need utensils as well to prepare food and to serve food as well. So we'll have some group meals, and so we want to share stuff. And serve. So those utensils are pretty critical. Get as long handles as you can find so that when you dig down in a pot, you're not getting your hands down in there because, we don't have a kitchen sink. You can go down the river and wash your hands. A knife that you're comfortable with at least a 3-inch blade, can be folding or fixed blade, something that you can get there, good and sharp, sturdy. You need cordage. So paracord is great stuff, inexpensive. Get a bright color. Don't get that camo color because if you lay it on the ground, it disappears or we trip over it and people won't see it. And then fire starting. If you want to play with ferrocerium rods and stuff like that, by all means, let's do that. But do bring some reliable sources as well. Good old Bic lighters or click lighters will work great. And carabiners and things like that are nice. These pre-made kits are okay. I'd get rid of some of these little gimmicky things like the rope saw and things like that. They don't really do much. And a multi-tool might work as well. And food. We want some freeze-dried food is great, especially the breakfast things. But I'll recommend that you actually go to Walmart and get these little $2, $3 packs of just add water, boil pastas and soups and mixes like this. Chili, man, they're just good comfort food out in the woods. And then snacks, Pop-Tarts, whatever your favorite snack is that's sealed up. Anything that's in a paper or non-mylar kind of bag, you want to make sure you put that in another, like a Ziploc. I bring extra Ziplocs as well, gallon size, to put everything in that I want to keep dry. You consider getting your fishing license. You can get a temporary license from the state of Arkansas online for the week. A small, lightweight 6-pound test spinning reel combo that you can get at Walmart for $30 is fantastic for the river. Don't spend a lot of money because this is fun and the river's not very wide, so we can wade out there and catch them. Smallmouth is king. Small, bright lures generally work well, and little hooks and sinkers. And the most important thing is get ready to enjoy some good company and the campfire and all that comes along with it. And the rest of this I'm going to leave up to discussion on the app. So this should get you started in the discussions and jump in there and ask the guys. And if you feel like you're not sure or you got something, you jump out there and see what other guys have. Some of us have redundant gear, and we're more than happy to share some extra gear with you. But if you got anything, either have something you want to discuss or brag about, bring it up. If you're curious or you're researching, jump in there and ask as well. And welcome aboard, boys.